Hello. So last week I showed you some of the features of the current gradebook, but this week I want to show you what the new gradebook in Canvas is going to look like. So right now it is in beta test version, but it will become the official gradebook here before too long. We don't have an official date on that, but eventually it will be switching over, but you have the option to switch now if you want. And I think the new gradebook is really great. So this shows you the old gradebook, what it looks like, right? This is what you see in your classes. The new gradebook is going to look a little bit different. It's going to look like this. So I'll show you how to switch it on. You can decide whether or not you want to turn it on, and then I'll show you some of the new features. I will warn you, if you switch a few of the new features, you cannot switch back to the old version. So consider that before switching. But you can look at it and then switch back if you want. So to switch to the new version within your class, you're going to go down to settings. And once you open your settings, you're going to go over to feature options and you're looking for new gradebook. So here you can see new gradebook. It's in the beta version and you're just going to switch that on. That's also how you switch it off if you change your mind, right? So on and off. And once you have the new gradebook, again, it is going to look like this. So the few of the features that you cannot change if you want to switch back would be enabling a late policy or changing the labels. And I'll show you both of those features. So the first thing I kind of wanted to show you here is you can see that a lot of the stuff is still going to be the same, right? You're still listing your assignments. You can still display them as percentage or points. You still have your categories down here, displaying your total grade, all of that. So just like with the other one, I can move, my total to the front. That I want that right there by the front of the student's name. I can still come up here and add in a notes column, right? So I can still use that note column if I want to say, the student needs more time or needs to sit towards the front. That note column is still available. The students are still able to do their what if grade, right? So they can go in and play around and see what their grade could be. So all of that stays the same. Some of the new features, which are pretty cool, one here that you can see is that you can choose to display unpublished assignments. So right now in Canvas, you might have noticed if you have an assignment you've made but you haven't published it, it's not in your gradebook. With this feature, you can show unpublished assignments just for yourself. So you're going to have these unpublished assignments that will show up. And again, that's not for students, it's only for you. And you can turn it off if you change your mind, you don't want those unpublished assignments there. Another cool thing that you're able to do is you're able to turn on filters. So I can filter for modules or I can filter for assignment groups or both, right? So I might say, you know what, I really want to see how one of my students is doing just in their quizzes. So I can filter out and just see my 2 quiz scores. Or I can say, I'm wondering how they did in the week 3, right? And I can see all the assignments from week 3. You can also do week 3 only quizzes, right? In that case, there's none, only papers. So you can filter out based on assignment group or on module, which is pretty cool to help you look at student data. Another good feature is the statuses. And this is what you don't want to change if you're going to switch back to the old gradebook. But in statuses, you can actually change and manipulate these colors to show you if something's late or something's missing or something is like that. So you're able to set those filters to a color that you want, which is pretty cool. You can also decide that none of those filters work for you. Maybe it's not bright enough. So if you just type in like a color picker, the Google one will pop up here. And if you want late work to be really bright to you so you know that it is late, right, you can find this very bright color, copy this number here, come on back, and I can say, you know what, for late work, I really want it to be this bright color. So I'm going to apply that, right? And now you can see late work is going to stand out to me a whole lot. So you can kind of pick those settings under statuses and really kind of determine what things are going to look like in your gradebook, which is nice if you have, something that you want to stand out a lot more. So that's another really cool feature that you are able to do. Something else that I really like is you're able to message students based on a certain assignment, right? So I can come into one of these assignments and I can say message students who, right? And I can pick haven't submitted yet, haven't been graded yet, scored less than or scored more than, and I can send this general announcement. So students haven't submitted yet, I can say, hey, submit your work, right? Probably a little nicer than that. Maybe I want to message students who scored less than a certain grade, so scored less than a 50, 60, whatever percent, right? You're able to put that information in and send a message to only those students, which is a pretty cool feature. So that's available for each of these assignments, which is really awesome. You can also see I have a few other options here by assignment. So I can mute the assignment. So what this does, it's going to keep grades private until I'm ready to unmute it. So maybe you're starting to grade a paper, but you don't want to finish the whole class yet, and you don't want, Bob Z to freak out because Bob A got his grade already. You can mute it for everyone. And then once everyone's graded, you can go ahead and unmute it. Maybe you want to talk to students first. You're going to maybe curve it or allow resubmission, so you don't want them to see their grade quite yet until you've had that conversation. You could mute it. Different reasons like that. Speaking of curving grade, there's also an option to curve grades here. So what it would do is set the average score. This one obviously not a great option, but one thing to notice is it can't be undone. So you do want to be careful before you curve a grade, but that is possible. You can also enter a grade as points or percentage. So you can switch from points to percentage right here for each assignment if you want. Very quickly, very easily, which is really nice. You can download the submissions directly from here, which is nice if you want to keep a copy of those. You can set a default grade. So maybe this is a participation grade and you know that everyone did it, right? You can just really quickly set that default grade. And you can also sort it high to low, low to high, missing or late, so that you're able to see a little bit better, right? I only have 2 students and a test student in here, so there's not a lot of sorting that can be done. But for your students, you have a lot more sorting options, which is really nice. When you see this assignment, you'll also notice this little arrow. And what that's going to do is open up this kind of grade summary, right? So I can see right now there's no status for Kurt's assignment, but I can say that it's excused, or I can say that it's missing, right? And it's going to change that status for me, which is nice. Down here, up here you can see also, this is kind of neat, I can flip between Kurt's other assignments, right? So I can see what he submitted, what his grade was on these other assignments, which is really nice. I can also open them up in SpeedGrader. And one cool hint that I would say is if you right-click this and open it in a new tab, that way you can open up, read the assignment submitted or not submitted in this case, and then continue to switch back and forth. So this lets you track a student's progress a little bit better because I'm only looking at Kurt's work here, which is nice. Speaking of SpeedGrader, it can still be opened directly here. So I can go, I can go here and click SpeedGrader. Like I said, you can also click the name of the assignment as you could in the old version and go right into SpeedGrader. So all of that is still the same. Again, the difference is just sort of how it looks here. The last thing I want to show you is the late work policy. So over here at these gears, I can turn on late policies. So I can automatically apply a grade for a missing submission, right? So I could say that a missing submission is going to be 0% if I wanted. If it'll let me type, right? So it'll apparently not let me type, but you can scroll down. You can automatically put in a submission grade. You can also automatically apply deductions. And again, you don't want to update this if you're going to switch back to the old gradebook. It will not let you. But if you're going to stick with the new one, right, so you can automatically apply deductions to a late submission. So I could say to deduct 5% for every day it's late, right? Or maybe I'm going to say the lowest possible grade, things like that. So you can set these late submissions and it'll automatically deduct. That way the student would be able to see, look, they got a 95 on the paper, but they're only going to get a 90, and that's because it was deducted for a day late. So these are some features of the new gradebook. Check it out and let me know what you think and if you have questions. Thanks, guys.